Okay, let's jump right in. Picture this. Just endless desert, right? And then boom, rising up. The pyramids, they just stand there, defying time. It makes you immediately think about this civilization, ancient Egypt, and their whole obsession with, well, eternity. Welcome, everyone. We're doing a deep dive today into ancient Egypt. We're looking past just the stones and artifacts, trying to get to the heart of it all, the divine rulers, the incredible engineering, that deep, deep belief in an afterlife.
Yeah, it's really a story about trying to leave a mark forever. And everything we're talking about today, it's grounded in a really comprehensive source we've been digging into: ancient Egypt, pharaohs, pyramids, and eternity. It's pretty packed. Our job here is to pull out the key stuff for you.
Yeah, and what's really striking in this source is how it emphasizes you can't understand Egypt without grasping that link they saw between, the earthly and the divine, and this drive for permanence. So we're going to walk you through that whole story from the river that basically created their world all the way to the monuments that still blow our minds today. Right. Think of this as your shortcut to getting a handle on what made ancient Egypt so unique, so enduring. We'll hit the foundations, the pharaohs' power, how they might have actually built those massive pyramids. There are really complex ideas about the afterlife and even some mysteries that, we're still puzzling over. We want you to get the key facts, the surprising bits. So, okay, where do we even start with a civilization this huge, this old? What's the absolute foundation?
It always comes back to the Nile. You just can't overstate it. Herodotus, the Greek historian, he nailed it. Egypt is the gift of the Nile.
Yeah.
That wasn't just poetry. It was the fundamental reality.
A gift. How exactly? What did it give them?
Life. Simple as that. The flooding, the key thing was it was predictable. Every year, like clockwork, it brought this rich black silt.
Ah, the fertile soil?
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the middle of this, harsh desert, suddenly you have this strip of incredibly fertile land, year after year. That predictability, that's what allowed agriculture to really take root, support a bigger population, build villages.
Right, because you need that food surplus first before you can even dream of building anything big or complex. And that stability that let the settlements grow and eventually come together.
Precisely. Over time, these farming villages along the river, they started to merge, cooperate, leading to unification, usually credited to King Narmer, maybe around 3100 BCE.
Yeah.
That's the moment Egypt becomes a unified state, capable of these big projects.
And right from the get-go, religion was woven into everything. It wasn't just Sunday best, it was their whole operating system.
Absolutely. Their whole worldview was religious.
Yeah.
And smack bang in the middle, the pharaoh, not just a king, a god.
A living god.
Seen as the embodiment of Horus, the sky god, while he was alive. And then when he died, he transformed into Osiris, the god of the dead, the afterlife.
Wow, a living god. How did that belief actually shape their society, the structure of it all?
It created this really rigid hierarchy, but one everyone accepted because it was divinely ordained. Pharaoh at the very top, absolute power because it came from the gods.
Yeah.
Then you had the priests serving all the different gods, the nobles, the scribes, very important, the artisans, and in the vast majority, the farmers working that Nile-given land.
So a place for everyone and everyone in their place, under the god king.
Pretty much. But what's interesting is, despite that strict structure, the belief in the afterlife, that was universal. Pharaoh, farmer, didn't matter. Everyone was concerned with preparing for that next life. It really knitted the whole society together.
Which brings us neatly to the pharaohs themselves. That word pharaoh, it still carries so much weight.
It really does. And the word itself, pharaoh, it comes from para, which meant great house, originally the palace, but it came to mean the ruler inside. And their claim to divinity, being sons of the sun god Ra, that wasn't just a nice story. It was the foundation of their absolute power. It legitimized everything.
The ultimate authority, right? If the king's word is literally divine command.
Exactly. And they didn't just say it, they showed it. Huge ceremonies, incredible art showing them with the gods, religious texts reinforcing it. Just being in their presence was, well, sacred.
And over the millennia, some pharaohs really left their mark more than others. Who are some of the standouts?
Oh, definitely. You've got Khufu, right?
Yeah.
Famous almost only for the Great Pyramid at Giza. His name is basically fused with that monument.
Yeah, talk about a lasting legacy.
No kidding. Then there's Hatshepsut, really remarkable. Egypt's most successful female pharaoh. She didn't just rule as a regent. She took the whole kit and caboodled the titles, the beard, everything.
Ceremonial beard, right.
Yeah. And she was big on trade, expeditions to Punt, bringing back incense, exotic goods, very successful reign.
Such a departure. And then Akhenaten.
Ah, the rebel.
Yeah.
Hugely controversial. He tried to scrap centuries of tradition, pushing the worship of just one god, the Odd as the sun disk.
Like early monotheism.
Sort of, yeah. He shut down temples to other gods, challenged the powerful priests. It was radical. Didn't stick after he died, but wow, what an attempt.
Definitely bold. Okay, and then the name everyone knows, even if they know nothing else.
Tutankhamun.
King Tut, the boy king. Honestly, his reign, pretty short, not super impactful historically speaking, but the discovery of his tomb.
Howard Carter, 1922.
Exactly. Nearly untouched. Just staggering amounts of treasure. It gave us this incredible snapshot of royal burial goods, and, well, it just captured the world's imagination. Made him famous forever.
And lastly, Ramses II.
Ramses the Great, you gotta call him that. Ruled for, 66 years? Just an incredibly long time. He was a massive builder temple, statues everywhere, Abu Simbel, Karnak additions.
And a warrior, too.
Oh, yeah. Fought the Hittites, claimed victory at Kadesh, though maybe that was spin. He really stamped his authority all over Egypt and beyond.
So their lives revolved around divine rule, building legacies. But like you said, the biggest focus was often on what came next. The prep for eternity, especially for pharaohs, was just immense. It was everything. Death wasn't the end. It was the most critical transition. Those royal tombs, especially down in the Valley of the Kings, they weren't just holes in the ground. They were like cosmic machines.
Maps and supply depots for the afterlife journey.
Exactly, filled with treasures, furniture, food, weapons, chariots.
Yeah.
Everything they'd need. And crucially, the texts, like the Book of the Dead.
Right, the spells and guides.
Yeah, personalized collections of spells, hymns, prayers, basically instructions to navigate the underworld, pass the tests, avoid the dangers, and reach the field of reeds. Every single thing in that tomb had a purpose for eternity.
Okay, and speaking of things built for eternity, built for that journey, we have to talk pyramids, calling them engineered prayers in stone. I like that.
It fits, doesn't it? They were more than tombs. They were symbols.
Yeah.
Physical links between the pharaoh on earth and the gods in the heavens.
Yeah.
Huge symbols of his power, his divinity, his ascent.
And they didn't just start with that perfect triangle shape we all picture. There was a learning curve.
Oh, absolutely. It really kicked off with Djoser's Step Pyramid at Saqqara. Before that, kings were buried under mastabas, these flat-topped bench-like structures.
Designed by Imhotep, right? The genius architect.
That's the one. Around 2670 BCE, Imhotep basically stacked smaller and smaller mastabas on top of each other, created the first truly monumental stone building, a literal stairway to heaven.
A staircase. Okay. And then came some trial and error, like the bent pyramid.
Yeah, Sneferu built that one. He was Khufu's father. And it's fascinating. You can see they changed the angle halfway up.
Why? Was it unstable?
Probably. They likely ran into engineering problems, realized the initial slope was too steep, maybe cracking under the pressure. It shows them actively figuring it out.
So learning from that mistake, Sneferu tries again with the red pyramid.
Also a Deshur, yes. And this one, success. The first true smooth-sided pyramid. They cracked the code, figured out the right angle, the right techniques. That set the stage.
For the big one, the Great Pyramid of Giza. For Khufu.
The absolute pinnacle. The scale is just mind-boggling. Originally nearly 150 meters high. Over 2 million stone blocks, many weighing several tons. It's still stunning.
Which leads everyone to ask, how? How on earth did they build these things thousands of years ago? No cranes, no power tools.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The source lays out the main theories. Ramps are the most popular idea. Maybe one long, straight one, or maybe zigzagging up the side, or even spiraling around.
Lots of debate there.
Huge debate. And other ideas, too. Leverage techniques, maybe using water to wet the sand and slide the blocks easier. Log rollers, perhaps. It was likely a combination of methods.
But the source is really clear on one thing that often gets mixed up. Who built them? It wasn't slaves, right?
This is so important. That image of slaves being whipped to build the pyramids is largely a myth, certainly for Giza. The evidence points overwhelmingly towards skilled, organized Egyptian labor.
How do we know that?
Archaeology. We found the workers' villages nearby. Not slave camps, actual settlements with bakeries, breweries, fish markets. We found their cemeteries. They were buried with honor, received medical care for injuries. That's not how you treat slaves.
And things like logbooks.
Exactly. The Diary of Mirror, found recently. It's a logbook from Khufu's time, detailing teams of workers transporting limestone blocks by boat. It describes a well-fed, organized workforce. This was a national project, probably seen as a religious duty, a source of pride.
That changes the whole picture. It's not just about muscle. It's about incredible organization, logistics, motivation.
Absolutely. It tells you as much about the Egyptian state's ability to organize as it does about their engineering skill.
Yeah.
And the power of their beliefs.
And symbolism-wise, beyond just being tombs.
Deep symbolism. They represented the Benben, the primordial mound that rose from the waters of chaos at creation, so rebirth, creation. And definitely, as we said, the launch pad for the pharaoh's soul to ascend to the stars joined Ra in his solar boat. Their precise alignment with stars proves that cosmic connection was key.
Okay, so the pyramid's built, the pharaoh's body is meticulously prepared, but the journey's just beginning. The Egyptian afterlife wasn't just floating on a cloud, was it? It sounds like quite an ordeal.
It really was. Death was a transition, yeah. But getting to the field of reeds, their paradise involved navigating a dangerous underworld. You needed the right prep, the right knowledge.
And step one, preserving the body, mummification.
Totally essential. They believed your Kiana, your life force or spirit double, needed to recognize and reunite with your physical body to survive and enjoy the afterlife. So you had to preserve it.
Which involved, well, it sounds pretty gruesome.
It was complex. Removing internal organs, brain through the nose, others through an incision, drying the body out completely using natron, a natural salt mixture, then carefully wrapping it in hundreds of yards of linen, often with amulets tucked in the layers. A long, sacred process.
And the organs they took out?
Carefully reserved, too, stored in special containers called canopic jars. Usually 4, each protected by one of the 4 sons of Horus, guarding a specific organ. The heart, though.
They left the heart in. Why?
Believed to be the seat of intelligence, emotion, memory. You needed your heart for the final judgment.
And the tomb itself was packed with clues for the journey.
Like a guidebook and a toolkit combined. Walls covered in spells, prayers, maps from texts like the Book of the Dead. Magical help to overcome demons, pass through gates, appease gods. Whatever challenges the underworld threw at you.
Until you reach the main event, the weighing of the heart.
The absolute crux. In the Hall of Ma'at, your heart was placed on one pan of a giant scale. On the other, the feather of Ma'at.
Ma'at being the goddess of truth, justice.
Truth, justice, cosmic order, balance, everything good. It was the ultimate test of your morality. Did you live a life in accordance with Ma'at?
And the result decided your fate.
Completely. If your heart was light, balanced perfectly against the feather, congratulations, you were declared true of voice. Osiris welcomed you into the field of reeds, a blissful, eternal paradise, much like Egypt, but perfect.
But if your heart was heavy?
Heavy with sin, lies, wrongdoing. Then it tipped the scales. And waiting nearby was Amit.
The devourer. Sounds pleasant.
Not so much. A terrifying hybrid monster, part crocodile, part lion, part hippo.
Yeah.
She would devour the heavy heart. And that was it. Your soul ceased to exist, utter annihilation. The ultimate fear.
Wow, that is quite the incentive to live right, and key gods oversaw this whole process.
Definitely. Osiris, king of the underworld, was the main judge. Anubis, the jackal-headed god, was the guide, the lord of mummification.
Yeah.
And Ma'at herself, whose feather represented the standard you were judged against.
You can really see how this whole belief system would shape society, not just inspiring the tombs, but enforcing a moral code. The consequences were ultimate.
Exactly. It provided social cohesion, moral order, and drove so much of their monumental art and architecture. That quest for eternal life powered everything.
So we've traced the Nile's gift, the divine kings, the pyramid puzzles, the afterlife journey, but even after centuries of study, Egypt still holds mysteries, right? And we're still finding new things.
Oh, absolutely. The sand is always revealing more, and there are still big debates, big questions.
Like, even with the worker villages, the exact mechanics of moving those multi-ton blocks for the Great Pyramid, still not 100% settled.
Not entirely. We know who did it, generally skilled Egyptians. But the precise techniques, the exact ramp system, the leverage methods, still actively researched and debated. Lots of theories, computer models, but no definitive aha moment yet for every detail.
And the hunt for lost tombs continues.
Always. That's the romantic side, isn't it?
That's
The source mentions Queen Nefertiti, famous powerful queen, wife of Akhenaten. We have busts, inscriptions, but her tomb vanished. Still possibly hidden somewhere, maybe even tucked away inside another tomb in the Valley of the Kings. People are still searching.
And that old chestnut, the curse of the Pharaohs.
Mostly legend amplified by the Tutankhamun discovery. You know, Lord Carnarvon dying shortly after the tomb opening fueled those stories, but statistically. Probably just coincidence, maybe exposure to ancient molds or toxins. It's more folklore than fact.
But real science is uncovering real secrets now. It's not just digging anymore.
Far from it. Modern Egyptology uses some incredible tech. Think about finds like Saqqara in 2020, Dozens and dozens of perfectly sealed, painted coffins found deep in burial shafts. Just incredible preservation, offering new data.
And technology lets us see without touching, almost.
Game-changing stuff. AI helps decipher damaged texts. 3D laser scanning creates perfect digital models of tombs and artifacts we can study non-invasively. Ground-penetrating radar looks beneath the sand.
Like the Scan Pyramids project, using cosmic rays.
Exactly. Muon tomography, using particles from space to effectively X-ray the pyramids. They've already detected large, previously unknown voids inside the Great Pyramid. It could be hidden chambers, corridors. We don't know yet, but it's finding things we couldn't see before.
That's amazing. So technology is bringing us closer, but also just opening up new questions.
That's the beauty of it. The more we uncover, the more complex the picture becomes, the more we realize we don't know. It's a constantly unfolding story.
Okay, wow. We have really covered a lot of ground here. From the Nile breathing life into the whole civilization to the unique power of the god kings, the pharaohs.
And then diving into the pyramids, the sheer engineering feat, yes, but also their deep meaning, built by dedicated Egyptians, not slaves.
And finally, navigating that intricate, sometimes scary path to the afterlife, the mummies, the judgment.
And the thread tying it all together, really, is that constant driving quest for eternity, for stability, for ensuring that life, order, mat, continued forever, both here and in the next world.
Yeah, the source really emphasizes that. Ancient Egypt's story is fundamentally about conquering time, establishing divine order, and expressing it with just incredible creativity. A legacy in stone, sure, but also in belief that still resonates. For me, I think the most powerful thing is seeing how integrated it all was. Farming, religion, kingship, death rituals, it wasn't separate boxes. It was all one system, all pointing towards permanence. That coherence is just staggering.
And looking at the bigger picture, Egypt's ambition feels almost universal. This human need to leave something behind, to build something lasting, to find meaning that outlives us. It's a drive we still see today, though maybe expressed differently. The fact that we're still talking about them, still using cutting-edge science to probe their secrets thousands of years later, that tells you something about how well they succeeded in that quest for permanence, and how much more there might be to find.
It really does. This whole deep dive just underlines that drive to leave a mark, whether it's a massive stone pyramid or a powerful set of ideas. It seems fundamental to us. So maybe it's something for you to think about. As we keep uncovering Egypt's secrets, how does their intense focus on achieving eternity, on building for forever, make us look at our own modern ideas about legacy, about what we value leaving behind in a world that often feels so temporary?